Hello, my name's Adam, and this is an introduction to Balint groups. So, Balint groups were designed and developed back in the 1950s and 60s by a married couple called Michael and Enid Balint. He was a psychoanalyst, she was a family therapist and social worker. And they were quite involved in the development of GP training at that time. And they wanted to create a group where doctors could explore their relationships with their patients in a way that wasn't under the pressure of having to diagnose and treat and have that expectation and responsibility that doctors hold in their role. So it was a space where they could be really honest about their work and really honest about how they feel about their patients. It's a little bit like supervision, it's a little bit like reflective practice, but it's its own thing really. It is the Balint group. So how do they work? Well, typically there'll be two leaders and roughly 10 group members, participants in the group. The groups will usually last for 90 minutes and they'll meet on a monthly basis. So you have the same group members meeting on a monthly basis. So there's a process to the groups. The groups are contained very much within those 90 minutes, so there's no preparation needed in advance, no previous experience or skill needed to be part of the group, and there's no follow-up afterwards. The groups are very confidential, so in the same way that in any kind of psychotherapy group, you would expect the group members not to talk about the content of the group outside of the group. That's the same in Balint. And the usual exceptions to those rules are if there's a safeguarding concern, and also the group leaders may take some of the material to their own supervision of the groups. And within those 90 minutes, there's a structure that is used that goes around twice. And the structure has four main sections, and they're as follows. So the group begins when a group leader will invite somebody from the group to share a story. And whoever volunteers to tell the story is known as the presenter. And they tell the story of either an encounter, a sort of one-off encounter with a client, or it could be a series of encounters, a sort of an ongoing relationship. And they just tell the story of what's on their mind. The presenter can speak for as long as they like without interruption, usually up to about 10 minutes typically. And the case doesn't need to be presented in a long, kind of complicated, well thought out, exciting way. It's just something that's on the presenter's mind. It might be something that's confusing or something that's left the presenter with strong feelings or something unresolved. So when the presenter has taken the time to tell the story in the way that they want to on that particular day, the group can then ask some clarifying questions if they want to. And sometimes we skip that section because sometimes the things that presenter leaves out of the story is just as important as the things that they leave in. But usually we call these questions of fact. So things like, well, how old is this particular person? Or, how long have you known them for? Something like that. So those are the first two sections. And then at that point, we get to the third section where the presenter will step back from the discussion. So if it's a group that's taking place online, the presenter would normally mute. If it's in person, then actually they might move their chair back so that they're sort of external to the group. And then the group will discuss the case without the presenter inputting into the discussion. So the presenter just listens, which can be a really powerful experience. And the group explores the story and tries to understand what's happening between the presenter and their client. And this discussion section is about trying to bring into awareness the unconscious, sort of unconscious thoughts and feelings that might be going on for us and for them. It's quite a creative section here, so you can kind of play with the story, play with the experience that we had when we listened to the story. It could be talking about sort of physical sensations, it could be memories or feelings or kind of associations to like music or films or books or parallels with other people that we've worked with. Pretty much anything, as long as it's resonating in some way with the case that's been presented, you can share it in the group. There's no right or wrong here. And then at some point, the leaders will invite the presenter to rejoin the group. And at that point, they can just rejoin the conversation, they can comment on what they've heard if they want to, or they can just sit quietly and be part of the group again. And that's it. That's one of the structures of the group. And then that happens twice within a 90-minute group. So normally that cycle will take 40 to 45 minutes, roughly. And that's it really. So what does a Balint group not do? So it's not about finding out how to do things. It's not about coming up with easy answers. Um, it's not about solving problems. It doesn't come up with kind of treatment plans or formulations, although any of those things may emerge in the process. What it does do is it provides an opportunity for clinicians to reflect really deeply on their work and how it's affecting them. It can provide an outlet for sort of anxieties or frustrations generated by the work. It can be a place where you can say things that you perhaps feel like you shouldn't in other contexts. And it can bring very different perspectives on a particular person that you're working with or possibilities for the future. So that's basically a summary about what Balint groups are. If you'd like to know more, feel free to get in touch. Bye-bye.